Welcome to part 2 of our trip through New Zealand.
Good morning. It's day 2. It was cold last night. 2 degrees in the van. First night in the van, but it was good. Today we're going to head over to Milford Sound and suss out the tour and see the boat and be on the water, and it's going to be insane.
If you haven't seen part 1, I would say go back and watch that one before you come here, because that is a setup for all of what's happening in this episode. Yeah, today we have our trip to Milford Sound. This is the tour on the glacial waters. We park our van.
We'll see you soon, Jen.
And we go for a little walk where I got this first image on the way to the dock. Might I say that this is quite a strong start. If this is what we can keep going for the whole of this trip, I am happy.
Look at that. Wow. Happy camper over there. What's up?
We got a little bit carried away taking images of just how beautiful the surroundings were that we ended up being a little bit pushed for time. But on the way we did manage to get these two. I honestly just love how some of these scenes had just presented. Like the first one, we had the palm trees, the leaves in the foreground that just happened to be, I walked behind it and underneath this tree, and it just perfectly framed the image. So be ready for a lot of that happening in this trip, because we just got lucky for images, so enjoy.
We're kind of on the way to being late to a tour, but we just keep stopping and taking photos. This is the live. Man, these vistas are insane. Oh, I've lost it.
My hands!
Oh, our hands are numb. We took a wrong turn.
I'll pop that.
Stress. We're now walking quick. Won't make it.
After we took these two and a bit of paced walking and getting a little bit lost, we finally made our way to the dock. And now we were off. And before we even left, we managed to grab this image of another tour boat coming back to shore. I think I could see this image in like a tourism brochure, the way it just captures the landscape, and then the little boat is in the foreground. And not so much the artistic shot, it's not the most intensely beautiful artistic photo, but this belongs in a tourism board brochure. When you're surrounded by mountains like this, it takes the sun a little bit longer to get over the peaks to actually light the entire area. And we're pushing like 9 o'clock here. And at this point, the sun is just starting to peek over the back of the mountain where this image was taken. The sun just peeking over the top of the mountains, it casted this really, really beautiful side light, and with a bit of dodge and burning, just making that separation in highlights and shadows punch a little bit more. We ended up getting this image. And I think it's quite beautiful. It's not often you see the light, especially where I'm from, that you see the light coming from the side like that through the top of mountains, and it's different. It's definitely different. We decided to go the budget option in general and go for a boat tour, but there was an option to go for a plane tour, and every 15 minutes or so these planes would fly overhead like you see in these clips, and it was just, I don't know, it was just a cozy, cool little moment where every time these little planes would come over, everyone would just stop and look up at them. I honestly wonder what their perspective looked like, because from where we were, it was beautiful, and from above, just seeing the tops of these peaks would have been a completely different energy. So at this point, I don't know if you've noticed yet if you watched the first episode, but today we have clear skies. Not a cloud in the sky, full blue, beautiful skies, and yesterday was overcast, heavy rain, cold, just not what you wanted to be on the water with. And that is the beauty of Milford Sound. Overnight, a lot of the weather will turn in an instant, and from the most overcast, intense rain, wind, all of that, we had next to no wind and these beautiful blue skies. Just insane. And on top of that, because it was raining so heavily the night before, we still had so many of these temporary waterfalls that you'll see throughout this entire video, because most of these are only temporary. I think they said there was only like 3 that are constant, but just these waterfalls were everywhere just because of the rain we had the day before. So we were really lucky to capture this. Honestly, just take a step back from how beautiful the surroundings were. It was actually really special to see families and couples and just people around us sharing this moment with each other. whether it was kids just in awe of the landscape, or there was this one couple that you can see here that they were just attached to each other the entire trip, and it was just really nice to see them have this special moment together. I feel like we spent a lot of time pretty much doing the same thing in between, you know, taking clips and running around the ship and everything, but yeah, it was just nice to watch humans be humans in a foreign place to them. Nope, here's another plane. So I'm torn between these two. So the one on the right shows the simplicity and beauty of just the mountain itself. I think there's a nice simplicity of just showing the landscape, but it can also take away from that artistic value because it's just like the landscape. And the one on the left shows a bit more depth. But in showing that depth, you hide some of the mountain itself. So I'm torn between what I think is a better image. I think they both belong here, but yeah, trying to explain which I think is a technically better image. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments down below. And then we end the first part of the tour. They like to end this first section with what they call a glacial facial, which is when they bring the boat right up close to one of the constant waterfalls and just spray everyone from the glacial water, and it was fresh. Okay, this image. 85mm, a rocking boat, handheld, and I believe it was 1/15 of a second exposure. And this thing is tack sharp. I don't know how this image was taken like this because I really expected there to be a lot of shake, but wow. Canon's in-body stabilization for photos is wild, because 85mm, that should have been shaking a lot more than what you could see here, and I'm very, very impressed with the final image. So this is the end of the first half of the tour. They have a dock as the sound becomes the ocean, and they dock us in, and then we go into an underwater observatory. So under here we have all the wildlife that live in and throughout the glacial waters here, that apparently is meant to also be the only representation of deep ocean, because how the water layers, it keeps it really dark down below. Really interesting stuff. But this underwater observatory, there was no captivity, they're all wild, and these fish and sea creatures were just like hanging out, which is really cool to see. This little starfish here would have been the size of your thumbnail. I had to get, he was the cutest little guy. I had to come in really close and take this photo because he just needed to be remembered. I also think it's a kind of a fun example of minimal photography because the way that it's just like endless blue in the background. That wraps up our time in the observatory. On the way back to land, Laurie and I decided to put all the cameras away because we've seen a lot of the things and the light was starting to get overhead and kind of bad. So we put cameras down, sat down on the dock and just like enjoyed the trip back and just watched and was in the moment, took a few videos on our phones and stuff for family, but this has been crazy. I'm sure. Like, and in a blip, the tour was over. We made our way back to Jen, packed her all up, put all the gear away, and we were off to our next location, which was Wanaka. Come on.
It's warm in here.
Bad, yeah, it's been in it for the last 10 hours. This has been insane. I'm shook.
I thought the sun's out.
Yeah, the sun is warm, quite warm. Like I could probably walk around in like a t-shirt at the moment.
But I kind of want to take my jumper off.
Do it. See you then. All right. Well, take out my first because we need fuel.
Get some
Like a
fuel.
half a tank. And then do we need any more food?
No.
No. Shall we windows down it? Yeah, let's do it. That's kind of fresh out there. Blink, 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 blink. All right, let's go.
Do it.
We are.
Traveling back through the mountain range, we captured the same images as before, stopped a few times here and there, and then we stopped on the other side of the traffic light that we had on the way here if you saw the first episode. And we had, a good 10 minutes to wait, and out of nowhere, this little guy rocked up. What? This bird, I really should... One moment. A Kea bird, famous for curiosity and playfulness. He would land on the car, walk along the bonnet, suss out inside, fly to the next car, walk along the bonnet, suss inside, fly to the and we just keep going all the way down. I've never seen a wild bird be so friendly. He had a little tag on his leg, so he must have been known for the area, but we were just in awe about this bird, and I managed to capture this image. Wow, the detail here. I wish I had a polarizer to get rid of a couple of those flares on his feathers, but damn, that 45 megapixels on this R5, jeez. I am so happy with this image, and I'm so glad we got to experience this little guy just hovering around and sussing out every car on the way back on this traffic light. It was a super cool dude. The framing on this image though was a little as I was flicking between video and photo mode to just try and get a clip for this video and then trying to, switch to photo and take the image. I ended up cutting some of his feet off, which is not a great thing to do, but the energy and the memory that is attached to this image is far superior than the technicality behind it.
So at this point, we've trekked it all the way back through Milford. We're heading over through Cromwell to Wanaka to stay 2 nights there. We'll see the tree and everything. It's taken us 2 and a bit hours to get here, so we've got another 3 to go. It's been a day of driving, but the vistas have been insane. Happy to be here. We got coffee and we're ready to go again. You good? Yeah. Shall we do it? Yeah. Let's do it. We wouldn't really be visiting New Zealand without seeing some sheep, so let's see some sheep. So many sheep. Sheep. The sheep weren't as friendly as we were hoping. I reckon you still got it with that backdrop. That landscape was sick. Oh, that is so bright. Oh wow, that's really blown out. I have to even crank up the old f-stop. Oh hey, I think you got it though.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to get some more as well later.
Oh, for sure. There'll be so many sheep. All the sheep.
Yeah.
Back to the road. Let's do it.
We really hit the road at this point. We had about a 6-hour drive ahead of us, so it was a long haul, and we were aiming at getting to Wanaka by about 7:30, which is after check-in, way later than we anticipated, and we're planning on it. But I think the way that the trip had panned out up until this point, I would not change for the world. The delay in the first episode was needed to get the beautiful weather today. It's worked out perfectly, so I will take the long trip and the late night for what we were able to capture. I'm super grateful for how it turned out. And while that may end this episode, next episode is something so cozy. Wanaka's a beautiful place, so I hope you enjoy and stay tuned for that one. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.
You guys need to see this. Oh my God. Isn't that insane? Look at that. This battery, however, is going to die, so I have to change it really quickly. Look at that. And look at that.
Oh, you moved.
So crazy, so beautiful. How can you deal?
I can't.
Hi, it's me with the breaking voice. 6 hours of driving.
A lot of traveling.
We've traveled a lot. It's 7:30, nearly 8 o'clock, and we're buggered, we're tired. Thank you for joining us up until now, and we'll see you in the morning. We're gonna call it, have some food, and dump these cards because today's been wildly good. Bye.